I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. Police apprehend 20 suspects behind the attack on police officers in KATETE. Gears Initiative bemoans Zambia's failure to meet the United Nations Human Rights Council commitments. President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA commits 2023 towards unlocking Zambia's domestic rigidities. And in international news, Sierra Leone MPs scuffle over electoral reforms. And in sports, World Cup disappointing start for Cameroon as they lose first match to Switzerland. Join me with the details after this commercial.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, ZAMBIA is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. ZAMBIA Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think ZAMBIA Farms.
Good news, the rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generational wealth is the way to go. House-grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
And now the main news in detail. Former President Edgar Lungu's associate, Valden Finlay, has pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrate Court to one count of holding more than one passport. The accused, however, failed to take plea in a second count as the state applied for the amendment of the court. Allegations are that the accused on 4th March 2014 acquired a Zambian passport number ZP021382 purporting to have lost the Zambian passport number ZP013259 when in fact not.
Former President Edgar Lungu's associate, Valden Finlay, has finally taken his plea before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court and pleaded not guilty to one count of holding more than one passport. Mr. Finlay, however, when he appeared before court this morning, could not take plea in the second count that the state has slapped him with, as it needs to be amended. The accused has denied holding more than one passport. According to allegation before court in the first count, it is alleged that Mr. Finlay, on the 14th of March 2014, in Lusaka, he acquired the Zambian passport number ZP021382 purporting to have lost the Zambian passport number ZP013259 when in fact not. In the second count, allegations are that the accused, on the 3rd of October 2022 in Lusaka, he was found in possession of endorsement of forged immigration stamps in his passport number ZP032178 purporting that it was officially endorsed when in fact not. Meanwhile, the accused lawyer, Milan Katola, says he is disappointed with the state. All the time they failed to frame their case nicely, considering the fact that they are seeking to amend the second count. He has also lamented before court how the Immigration Department has denied to return Mr. Findlay's passport despite informing them of his medical condition. The Immigration Department arrested Mr. Vauden Findlay in October 2022 for holding more than one passport, giving false information, and possessing a passport bearing a fake entry endorsement stamp. The accused was apprehended by a Department of Immigration-led team of officers from various security wings on the 3rd of October 2022, around 13 hours at the Anti-Corruption Commission headquarters, where he was appearing for questioning. The investigative wings had moved in following investigations into a report that the accused held multiple passports under his name. The Drug Enforcement Commission, through its Anti-Money Laundering Investigation Unit earlier, arrested Mr. Findlay and his wife for money laundering involving $368 million. The commission also charged and arrested Mr. Findlay's wife for gratification paid to a former government official, amounting to more than 4 million kwacha. The accused is soon expected to appear before court to take plea in his second count. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajola says police have apprehended 20 people suspected to have been behind the attack on police officers in KATETE's Kamwanza village earlier this week. The Inspector General says the suspects, all male persons aged between 18 and 55, are also believed to have gutted a police motor vehicle, Land Cruiser, and participated in the demolition of 16 houses. Mr. Kajola says the full arm of the law will be applied to all those who participated in injuring officers and burning a police vehicle, so that people should know that it does not pay to take the law into their own hands. The Inspector General has also warned members of the public pouring scorn to be mindful with their comments over the incident, as officers are listening to the information they are feeding them.
20 villagers of Kamwanza village in KATETE district of Eastern Province have been arrested as having been behind the brutal attack on police officers who tried to rescue a murder suspect who was released from police custody after the agitated villagers destroyed his house and pounced on him. The shocking incidents of police officers being brutalized, never reported before in the country, left many shocked, as officers were armed but decided to refrain from using force on the villagers despite their lives having been in danger. An Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajoba says he has taken time to analyze the detail of what exactly transpired in Kamwanza village, and says it was unnecessary and unacceptable for the villagers to react in the manner they did, as there are other available avenues to address their perceived grievances.
It was unnecessary and unacceptable for villagers to react in the manner they did, as there were other available avenues to air or address their perceived grievances. I've taken time to read and listen to various opinions and comments from members of the public over the incident.
The Inspector General has since announced that 20 suspects have so far been arrested, and says the full arm of the law will be applied to all those who participated in injuring officers and burning down a police vehicle, so that people should know that it does not pay to take the law in their own hands.
People should know that it doesn't pay to take the law in their own hands. In view of this, I wish to inform the nation that we have apprehended 20 people suspected to have been behind the attack of police officers. The suspects, all male persons, are between the ages of 18 and 53, who are believed also to have gutted a police motor vehicle, Toyota Land Cruiser, registration number ZP 2502B. And also they participated in demolishing 16 houses.
And Mr. Kajoba says some members of the public have been making comments that officers exhibited weakness by not retaliating and suggesting that they should have been casualties on both sides. The police boss has since warned members of the public pouring scorn to be mindful with their comment over such incidences as officers are listening to the information they are feeding them. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Merchandisers Union of Zambia has appealed to chain stores demanding that merchandisers working for various companies and delivering goods to them should be made to wear the chain store's uniform should come to an end. In an interview, union spokesperson Albert Mfichani says the demands by chain stores amount to a violation of merchandisers' rights, stating that they should be allowed to wear uniforms of the various companies they represent. He has named Shoprite as one store which is making such demands. But Shoprite's Zambia General Manager Charles Bota says those who feel aggrieved should report the matter to the Ministry of Labour.
The increase in the number of retail shops and chain stores in Zambia has come with its benefits, which include employment creation for many people. The merchandise business also comes with its own challenges, which often include low pay, overworking, and physical abuse. These issues have been of concern to the Merchandisers Union of Zambia MEUS, who say key ministries, such as the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, should ensure that the rights of workers are protected. A group of merchandisers delivering products for Shoprite Zambia, one of the chain stores operating in the country, have come forward, complaining that while they work for various companies to deliver goods for the chain store, they are made to wear uniforms as Shoprite workers and not those from the individual companies. They have complained that this does not sit well with them, as it amounts to impersonation and is a violation of their rights as workers.
We dispute the fact that we don't work for Shoprite, though we are putting on these bibs, of which we are not comfortable with them, of these, and we want to call it off so that we can be putting on our aprons.
I, for one, I think that there must be some agreement. If they want us to be putting on the aprons, there should be some agreement with the companies, I mean the respective companies where we are coming from, so that we are not affected as merchandisers.
Our major concern which we are facing in Shoprite is that they have been forcing us to wear red bib aprons, which are against our company's policy. Because by good example, if our company's management comes in the stores, they're supposed to see our company logo names, not red bibs. Number two, my major concern is that by wearing this is sort of impersonating, because we don't work for Shoprite, we work for different companies. The other thing, I'm appealing to the Shoprite aid management to intervene on this matter, because we've been talking it about for more than 5 times, of which the Shoprite management haven't taken any reaction.
MEUS spokesperson Albert Mfichani has also spoken out.
So there are uniforms that these merchandisers put on from their different companies, and those uniforms needs to be seen by not only customers but even those that are working within those particular stores. So you find that those aprons are, are hiding the brands for the companies that the merchandisers are working from, and that's causing a lot of confusion. We are really looking toward that. I think a month from now we are going to give more feedback on what's going to be done.
Meanwhile, Shoprite Zambia General Manager Charles Bota, responding to a press query, explains that the chain store as a private entity reserves the right to determine the attire worn, adding that shoppers many times expect merchandisers unpacking and loading goods to help them identify where certain products are placed. He has advised those with concerns to visit the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Apostles' Council of Churches says there is need to build capacity in church leaders to ensure that they comment on national and governance issues from an informed point of view. In an interview, Council Programs Director Reverend Maona Zulu says while the church in Zambia plays a key role in governance, most of them do not have such training. He adds that church leaders need to be well equipped to carry out their role, which includes uniting the country. The Reverend notes that many men of God in Zambia have been known for controversial issues, including political alignment.
Then for the pastors, I think we have heard a lot of stories concerning the pastors, the issues of money, the issues of rituals, the issues of sexual harassments and these or pregnancies and all these issues. Each and every church, you find that there are people from UPND, from PF, from PPZ, from all political parties. Therefore, if as a leader you point to one political party, you injure the other members of the party. I mean the party, because there are many political parties in the church. In fact, all political parties are found in one church. Therefore, it's very, very important for the pastor not to bend to one political party, because the church is the mother for all the political parties.
In other news, the Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services GEARS says Zambia has failed to attend most of its commitment made to the United Nations Human Rights Council in 2017 aimed at enhancing its civic and political space. Addressing the media Thursday, GEARS Executive Director McDonald Jipenzi notes that the country has to date failed to enact the Access to Information Law, which is still in a bill form. Mr. Jipenzi says this means that civil society and media still cannot freely access critical information which can enhance transparency. He has therefore advised that as the country will be reforming its constitution, a social contract law should be included which will hold government accountable for failing to attain what they promised to the Zambian people.
As Zambia hopes to become a prosperous middle-income country by 2030, various commitments have been made to improve different sectors, which include the 2017 commitment to the United Nations Human Rights Council to enact laws that will enhance the civic and political space in the country. The commitments also include ensuring gender equality and the recognition of rights for persons with disabilities, among others, totaling 203 commitments altogether. Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services GEARS Executive Director McDonald Jipenzi says Zambia has however failed to actualize many of these and will have few positive things to report to the United Nations in 2023, as the 5-year period in which they were to be attained is elapsing in 2022. Addressing the media Friday, Mr. Jipenzi notes that while the United Party for National Development UPND administration have made progress on laws like the Public Order Act, the Access to Information Law, which is one of the key laws for transparency, has not yet been enacted.
What else? Access to information. The bill is already done. So we are still at the bill stage. We haven't crossed over to the enactment. So perhaps if government can process these bills quickly, we are hopeful that come January or the February session, we shall have new law in terms of the Public Act, the information bill, the information law, and all these laws that I've talked about.
The GEARS Executive Director therefore says a social contract should be included as Zambia reforms its constitution to keep governments accountable for what they say they will accomplish.
We as civil society, I think we've tried to negotiate that issue of broken promises by asking political parties to sign a social contract. If you remember, even in 2012, we had called political parties to JCTR to sign a social contract on what they are going to do over the constitution. If you remember, that was 2015 somewhere there, during that presidential elections. Yeah, we went there. A few signed, others refused because it's not legal.
The civic leader also observes that there is need to put clear laws that to create an understanding between operations of the media and the police, noting that while relations have improved under the current administration, formal laws should be written down. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambia's President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA says the second year of his administration in office will largely be skewed towards unlocking domestic rigidities to economic as to push economic growth as much as possible. President HICHILEMA says his administration's first year in office was devoted to providing macroeconomic stability and debt restructuring, which he says has been successful so far. The head of state says anything that the private sector needs to do to open investment should be done and that his office is open for dialogue. President HICHILEMA said this when he addressed delegates at the inaugural Economic Growth Forum held in Lusaka Thursday, being held under the theme Delivering Economic Growth for Zambia.
1 year, 3 months on the dot today. 1 year, 3 months in government. So our second year in government will largely skew, our time will largely skew towards unlocking domestic rigidities so that we can push the growth level as much as possible. Programs such as the Minister, PSs in that area, programs around SMEs, programs around mining, programs around agriculture, around energy, must move. And everything that the public sector needs to do to move these programs, to move these projects, to open investments, we should do. Secretary, that your confirmation was delivered on the button, so we can focus on unlocking domestic rigidities. The president's on time, my own time, will be skewed 60 to 70% on these issues.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti for your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Christian Community Church fundraising dinner and church service. Hosts Pastor Field and Rita Ngalande. Guest speakers Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilu. Date 3rd and 4th December 2022. Venue Sally Riverside Resort in Mansa. Time dinner 19 hours to 22 hours. Church service 0930 to 12 hours. Contact us on 0978 042508. Take note, both events will take place at the same place.
Surround me with your grace.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generational wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the rest of the main news. Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry Permanent Secretary Mike Mulongoti says over-regulations of business and their operation imposes cost on both business and government in terms of time and actual money. Mr. Mulongoti says a risk-based regulatory approach can improve efficiency, effectiveness and transparency at different levels. He says it is government's belief that focusing on risks to develop regulations for business also gives an opportunity for businesses to benefit from a more level playing field. The Permanent Secretary said this in a speech read on his behalf by Ministry Director Domestic Trade Margaret Chikuba at the dissemination and validation meeting of the survey report on risk-based regulations conducted by the World Bank and Business Regulatory Review Agency. Meanwhile, World Bank Group Senior Private Sector Specialist Sojanya Krishna Jodavarapu said the survey was meant to establish the extent of the implementation of risk-based regulations, and the government of the Republic of Zambia is hopeful that the outcomes of the survey will be adopted.
It is our belief, ladies and gentlemen, that focusing on risk to develop regulation for businesses also gives an opportunity for businesses to benefit from a more leveled playing field, as the regulation will focus on the risk and not just the type of business.
I would like to urge all of us today in this room to really put our collective thinking to ensure that businesses in Zambia are not limited to keeping their lights on, but really bounce back and build back better as the country is really steering towards a better tomorrow, to contribute to the economic transformation agenda and also to contribute to the jobs for youth and jobs for women.
The first is that regulatory agencies must implement regulations that impose the least burden on the businesses. The second is that all fees and charges must be minimal and applied only to defray administrative costs. Thirdly, regulatory requirements for micro, small and medium business enterprises must be minimized to the greatest extent possible. And lastly, regulatory procedures should be simplified and that there should be no duplication in regulatory requirements.
Government says it is working to ensure that business models of insurance entities are adaptive to new ways of doing business as the industry collectively explores how it will contribute to the economic growth of Zambia. Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, says the government's agenda is to put back the country's economy on a positive growth trajectory. Dr. Msokotwane said this in a speech read on his his behalf by Ministry of Finance and National Planning Permanent Secretary in charge of monitoring and evaluation Trevor Kaunda during the opening ceremony of the 8th Annual Insurance Conference in Lusaka. Meanwhile, Insurers Association of Zambia President Moses Siame has acknowledged the government's effort in contributing to the growth of the financial sector.
Insurance for low-income countries in Zambia sees steady growth, as many other countries in the region. According to data, the number of people covered by micro-insurance in the country increased from 2.4 million in 2018 to 3.3 million in 2020, but still excludes a large proportion of the country's population. Government has reaffirmed its commitment to creating a vibrant insurance industry by creating and maintaining a more enabling environment for the insurance sector through the enactment of relevant laws and policies, such as the Insurance Act No. 38 of 2021. Speaking during the opening of the 8th Annual Insurance Conference, which is commemorated under the theme Strengthening Resilience in a Changing Economic Landscape, the case of insurance, Finance Minister Dr. Mstumbiko Msokotwane has recognized the importance that the insurance sector plays in contributing to the growth of the country's economy. He said this in a speech read on his behalf by Minister of Finance and National Planning Permanent Secretary in charge of monitoring and evaluation, Trevor Kaunda.
Resilience in this case, therefore, entails that the business model for insurance entities must adapt to new ways of doing business, and the industry must collectively explore how it will contribute to the economic growth of Zambia. We all agree that the need for greater resilience in business was evident during the COVID-19 pandemic. Reflecting on the recent COP27, it is imperative that insurers work with various stakeholders to provide solutions to the impact of climate change and its shocks.
And the Insurer Association of Zambia says the industry's effort is to respond to the needs and concerns of the general public.
Your presence is a sign of government's commitment to the growth of the financial sector and insurance in particular. We're especially grateful for the creation of the Public-Private Partnership Dialogue Forum, which has afforded us an additional avenue to effectively present our proposals and raise our concerns. The insurance industry is also looking forward to the operationalization of the new Insurance Act No. 38 of 2021, which will help to take the industry to the next level. And it will, among other things, transform how capitalization is done, encourage the growth of microinsurance, and allow for more effective oversight by our regulator.
Meanwhile, Pensions and Insurance Authority says the authority remains committed in supporting insurance entities to develop business models that will survive the changing economic landscape, and also assured of its further commitment in supporting the industry to achieve its full potential through market development activities by way of providing appropriate regulatory infrastructure.
The Insurance Act No. 38 of 2021 will see us transition to a risk-based capital framework, and as a regulator, this will help us better appreciate the risks faced by insurance companies, including how best we can monitor those risks. On the other hand, we believe that the risk-based capital framework will assist insurance entities to better understand the economic capital.
Bank of Zambia Deputy Governor Francis Chipimo also gave a keynote presentation. The conference, which is held in Lusaka from the 24th to the 25th of November 2022, has attracted more than 200 attendees from the insurance and risk management industry, regulators, brokers, risk and compliance officers, bankers and other delegates, all experts to play a vital role in ensuring that the risk solution can be delivered to the individuals and businesses across the country. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, AGS Records Management Worldwide Movers Relocation, an organization specialized in digitalizing data, has implored the public and private institutions to take a keen interest in digitalizing their data. In an interview, organization country manager Chaka Buhendwa says digitalizing of information provides security to the organization's information from risks such as fire, insects, among others. Mr. Buhendwa reiterates that the benefits of digitalizing of data enables organizations to keep its information for as many years as possible. That's the need for companies to adopt.
The data protection, especially in this era where we are seeing a lot of issues that are arising with theft of identity theft and so on, that sometimes results into poor upkeeping of records, especially personal records. So that's the history of your organization that you're protecting, that allows you also then to market yourself with all of the background that it can represent, that you try to really showcase, and so that you're able to also put a vision towards the future. So really it's the lifeblood of your organization that you need to keep well in order for you to have the good roots and to ensure that you're able to grow accordingly. So that's how important we think that the records management is in your organization.
International and sports news coming through right after this commercial.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. House-grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's get into international news. A brawl broke out of Sierra Leone's parliament in Freetown Wednesday, 23rd November 2022, as members of parliament were in session. The parliamentarians debated a proposed change to the electoral system to allow for proportional representation in next year's election. In video footage, representatives from the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party and the opposition All People's Congress Party are seen fighting and throwing chairs. Here's a roundup of international news.
It was just a headache and slight fever at first, so 76-year-old Lal Maya Gurung shrugged it off. Later on, she started vomiting and had diarrhea. Her daughters took her to a clinic, where she was put on an intravenous drip. But that also didn't help, so they went to the hospital.
I think dengue is more severe than COVID-19. COVID-19 is just fever, but she was puking and had diarrhea so bad that she couldn't eat anything nor drink water.
All symptoms pointed to a disease that was spreading rapidly in Nepal. After doctors ran some tests, it was confirmed Lal Maya had contracted dengue, a virus carried by the yellow fever mosquito. Dr. Sherbadar Pun is an infectious diseases specialist at this government hospital. He recalls events during the height of the outbreak, not far from what he witnessed during the country's Delta wave of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Personally, even examining more than 200 every day. While I was examining the patient, I used to see the people, they are falling while they are walking. So it reminds me of the COVID wave.
Sanitation in parts of the capital Kathmandu is poor, but cold weather has prevented mosquitoes from thriving. Until now. Dengue has been around for decades, and it has thrived mainly in tropical and subtropical regions, where breeding conditions are ideal for mosquitoes. But this year's rainy season has seen a record number of cases here in Nepal, not just in the lowlands, but in higher altitudes as well. Experts say climate change is at least partly to blame.
Pattern of warming is much more higher in the Himalayas compared to the rest part of the world, and because of this warming, especially in temperate and mountain regions, this becomes the conducive environment for the epidemic potential of dengue.
Lal Maya has spent days in the hospital and is hoping to be able to return home soon. The good news is, with winter coming, the outbreak has slowed. But dengue isn't going away, and the mortality rate in Nepal could get worse if other strains start infecting its people. Bardabilo, Al Jazeera, Kathmandu.
A brawl broke out in Sierra Leone's parliament in Freetown Wednesday as MPs were in session. They debated the proposed change to the electoral system to allow for proportional representation in next year's election. In video footage, representatives from the ruling Sierra Leone's People's Party SLPP and the opposition All People's Congress APC party are seen fighting and throwing chairs. The country's Electoral Commission advised switching to a proportional representation system for next year's local and parliamentary elections, excluding presidential polls. The opposition claims the move would be unconstitutional. However, the government backs the plan, which requires parliamentary approval. The fight erupted around 11 GMT and had quieted down by afternoon. According to local reports, the police intervened to calm down the riotous scene and expel disruptive MPs from the chamber. Last week, lawmakers passed legislation to introduce a gender quota in all elected and appointed positions.
The indomitable Lions of Cameroon have lost their first match in the World Cup in Qatar. Karl Toko Ekambi and his teammates fell short to a lone goal from, in fact, a Cameroonian-born Swiss player, Bril Mbolo. The Swiss international, born in Yaoundé, scored the only goal of the game in the second half. However, in the first period, the Cameroonians had dominated possession, but the attacking line of Mbomo Chupo Toko had to face an outstanding Swiss keeper. This result does not make the business of the indomitable Lions easier, as they will still have to face two tough opponents, Serbia in the next game and eternal favourites Brazil and its 5 stars. Brazil and Serbia take on each other late Thursday evening.
We now get into local sports news. Patriotic Front presidential hopeful Greyford Monday has called on the government through the relevant line ministries of sports and labor to enact policies to make national team coaching jobs a preserve to Zambians and locals, residing in Zambia. Mr. Monde says after 58 years of independence, the national team job must be a preserve of Zambians and those that operate within Zambia for the betterment of the country. He says government must cause the Football Association of Zambia to identify a team of coaches to manage the national team, and that if a local coach cannot be found, then the coaching job should be shared among a committee of Zambian coaches who should be allowed to manage the team on a rotational basis. FAZ is this Friday expected to present before government a list of selected coaches with an expatriate tipped to be the national team coach for the Zambia national team, the Chipolopolo.
The Football Association of Zambia is in the process of shortlisting or appointing a national coach. It is in public domain that you have seen that at this stage there are about 3 that have been shortlisted, where they're about to appoint 1. We are very concerned with this process and would like to urge the Football Association of Zambia, together with the line ministries, the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Labor, to consider to appoint a local coach, a Zambian coach. At 58 years, Zambia today has many coaches that have some brought trophies to this country, that some have been engaged and have worked even out of this country to coach teams that have won big trophies, and we are not expected to see that a foreign coach is appointed. Current football tournament for the World Cup that is happening in Qatar, you have seen big teams, you know, the 5 teams that are being representing Africa there, all of them are being coached by their local coaches from their various countries.
That sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Police apprehend 20 suspects behind the attack on police officers in KATETE. Gears initiative bemoans Zambia's failure to meet the United Nations Human Rights Council commitments. President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA commits 2023 towards unlocking Zambia's domestic rigidities. And in international news, Sierra Leone MPs scuffle over electoral reform. And in sports, World Cup disappointing starts for Cameroon as they lose first match to Switzerland. Before we go, our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of 1 Timothy, verse 5 from 1 to 2, and it reads, "Do not rebuke an older man, but exhort him as a father, younger men as brothers, to older women as mothers, and with all propriety, the younger women as sisters." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.